Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to say welcome to the FinTech Frenzy, but that's not what we're doing today. We're just going to have a little bit of a conversation around Tesla. I spoke about this last week that I'm hoping to potentially on Mondays or Fridays, depending, sort of step away from that and talk about other investments that I'm getting into, which most of the times, I mean, all of the times is going to be in other tech industries that get me excited, trying to be disruptive tech, something like that is usually the areas that I like to be in. And Tesla is obviously one of the most exciting and fun names to talk about because we can theorize about, uh, potentially what the future is going to look like with Elon as the head of this company and what he might potentially be working on. So today, I wanted to talk about something that is not getting enough coverage, in my opinion. It's just something that I think is interesting and gives sort of an overview about Tesla, as well as talking to you guys what I'm doing with my own shares of Tesla, because I've been making some pretty big changes. So, one of the things that I wanted to cover is the pay package. Elon Musk owns roughly about 13% of Tesla, largely due to his massive increases from his pay package that awarded him, 54 billion freaking dollars of the stock, which is just, unbelievable. But it's what everyone wanted, right? He ended up doing or saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this unbelievable feat in 2018." No one believed him. Well, that's not true. Not no one believed him, but there was a high likelihood of failure that he was going to be able to hit. Some of the later tranches saying that he was going to raise the market cap of the company, past $650 billion. It was just an insane statement, and if that actually was to happen, he was going to receive quite a large sum of that company for doing so. People said, "Hey, if you can do it, great. We'll give you, the payments because obviously you will have made us a ton of money." It's funny because some people, after voting yes in 2018, then because the Delaware courts actually ended up making them, sort of do a recount. That it's just funny that they fricking some people actually switched to go, "Oh, no, 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 no," after he already had raised and made a success out of Tesla as it is. So, in the latest annual shareholder meeting, whenever they talked about some of their greater aspirations, and they're talking about this company being potentially worth, $30 trillion based on, $5 trillion of ride hailing and FSD and another 25 trillion of robots, whether that is complete Tesla owned or that is the market cap size, sounds unbelievable, but you're sort of adding a workforce. You're almost creating, more humans that don't have to get paid a salary and don't have to go to sleep necessarily. So it could be worth that. Okay. So, what is the idea of having Elon do sort of another idea of saying, "Hey, let's put him up to the test again. Let's give another pay package to sort of incentivize him to, uh, you know, essentially buy or essentially get more ownership of the company for his efforts, for his work." So there's sort of two main ideas that I've sort of been looking around the stock at the time that we're talking about this. He has, or sorry, the market cap of the company is about $580 billion, give or take, depending on what the valuation of the company is going to fluctuate by. And I was just thinking, what could potentially be a prominent thing for him to come out and say by you know going after FSD, going after ride hailing, going after Optimus. What are some pay packages? So I was thinking, well, let's sort of price this out in two different ways. Is it going to be as aggressive as last time? Last time in March of 2018, it was about a $50 billion market cap. He sort of priced it out as if the company was doubling and tripling the entire time through each tranche. So it was 50 billion at the time. And then he priced it out between 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, so on and so forth for 12 different tranches. On these sort of ones that I'm looking at is that going to be a similar thing? Right now we're at 500 plus $billion, is he going to say, hey, over the course of the next 10 years, going out to 2034, are we going to end up seeing this company, hit in tranches of $500 billion for him to get a specific amount of new ownership of the company? I don't even know what he would want. Would he continuously want new ownership? I guess, but uh, I guess he would be driven by ownership in the company rather than the money, but it in tune comes with the money. Uh, but so essentially, I was looking at those in two different ways. Either it's going to get shrunk down a little bit lower to about $250 billion per tranche, because obviously it's a much larger company. The growth in the total amount of the market share that has been taken is essentially, harder to achieve because you're getting to such large parts of the overall amount. Obviously, there's still like 1% of the overall amount of vehicles that are on the road right now, or the amount that are actually being delivered. So they have a long ways to go, obviously. But still, I was looking at this and I can just share my screen, I guess. I don't think, here, let me do this real quick. I was just looking at it two different ways. Imagine over the course of the next 10 years, and this is, if you're looking at Super Bowls, way, 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 way too low. Okay. Because there are people that will say, hey, this is a 10 plus $trillion company. If we think that ride hailing is a much larger business, or if we think that Optimus is going to come out at a much faster rate. But I want to stay conservative. Obviously, we're going into territories unknown, and it's so easy to let our heads run wild about the total addressable market size of something like, autonomous robots or ride hailing, but we just don't know how the market is going to perceive that. But yeah, obviously with AI, it's changing the entire game. It is fast at adopting, or like the adoption has been insanely fast. And not only that, it's also going to advance every other technology around it because of the added learning that we're going to have from AI. And it's multitudes faster than what it was before. It's not like a small increase of 10%. No, it's like a full step function of more productivity. So yeah, I'm already seeing in the chat people do not want to give more money to Elon, but it's like, why not? Why would you not want to reward the person who is about to deliver you, let's say, a $10 trillion company? If he can actually turn this $580 billion company to a $10 trillion company over the course of 10 years, what is his deserved pay scale for that? So I think that it's super important that hard work gets gets rewarded, and that although the numbers might sound silly because he was just paid $54 billion, it's really not that insane of a necessary change. I mean, the company's going to get larger, economies are going to get larger, let alone inflation and all this other shit that might factor into it as well. We're talking about a potential 10-year gap here. So let's talk about my own portfolio for a second. I have, over the last little week, invested a lot more in Tesla. My first time really buying for quite some time. Okay. There was a little bit of buying back whenever it was dropping into the 170s before, but I mean, just dabbling, just playing with some weekly payments that are coming in. Now I've actually ended up selling out of other positions and putting more into Tesla, just because I do believe in a very futuristic, sort of AI, robotic, self-driving vehicles, sort of future. And I do believe that Elon Musk is the number one CEO, or, operator to get these things done. It's seemingly like now is the right time for me to do that. I might end up being early anyways. I'm usually early whenever I make these sort of calls where I'm like, okay, you know what? This is a new technology and I need to invest in this. It could be another year off before the market starts actually seeing it. I mean, That's for damn sure. But I don't know. I find with interest rates being really high right now that Tesla's having a problem with deliveries and inventory growing and stuff like this, but that's not necessarily going to last forever. I mean, new vehicle purchases will accelerate if they become a more affordable options with lowering interest rates, and that I do believe is going to happen this year. So I want to take advantage of this before the rest of the market does. Historically, if you look at the company from a PE perspective or PEG ratio perspective, it is looking much lower. There has been, if you look at the last 2 days, the PEG ratio has skyrocketed up just because of revisions for Tesla earnings actually going down. But I'm going to call that bluff. I don't believe that that's going to happen necessarily. So uh, I also believe that they've spoken a lot about their investments that they've made, unconstraining their compute so then they can train FSD better. Now Elon's talking about them putting out their new project, or not new project, new hardware that they're calling AI 5. It's just hardware 5, which is planning on being at the end of 2025. So new models might end up refreshing sort of that buyer base in a way. And so we're going to have potentially, if I'm basing it on what Elon's saying, a 10x performance in the actual onboarding computer that is put into these new models, that could really rush in FSD much quicker. And so I do believe that we are going to see something within the next sort of 3-year time span. I have a very long-term investing style. So it's more of a matter of during those 3 years, am I better set up by investing in the S&P 500 and waiting those 3 years, or am I better set up by buying Tesla at a price where people are not sort of giving Elon the benefit of the doubt? It really hasn't moved after his pay package was approved. We're just seeing sort of the stock being held down for reasons essentially unknown. I mean, it's really based on delivery right now and high interest rates, in my opinion. So, if you believe that ride-hailing platform will be a thing of the future, whether that is a 5-year or 10-year time frame, if that's your sort of length of investing periods, like, can you think of better investments than Tesla right now? And if you can't, why do you play around with other positions? Now, I do play around with other positions. My answer to that is to mitigate risk, because there could be a chance that this is delayed, that they are wrong, that legislation comes in and makes it, not allowed. And you're seeing that with a lot of things, like with what Europe's doing with AI. I mean, they're really haltering companies like Apple, and that's kind of scary. But in my opinion, in the long run, that's only going to really hurt them in the long run. I think with all of the greatest sort of technology innovations that are coming out right now, whether you want to include crypto into that, or I mean, robots are a little in the distant future, but self-driving, AI, that the countries or the companies that do not involve themselves in these new technologies could potentially fall behind. Uh, and so I think that this is why you're going to see a lot of countries actually not try to put a hamper on this, actually try to give a lot of benefits to these sort of technologies, because they don't want to fall behind. They want to be the leading country in these new spaces. And it doesn't seem like Tesla fears many companies in these industries, right? They do seem to be the market leader, and you're going to want to invest in the market leader, in my opinion. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Um, yeah, I mean, I even disagree with many of the Super Bowls about Tesla and their, sort of speed in which they believe that people are going to adapt ride hailing or get rid of their old cars for that sort of thing. I really, really disagree with it, especially whenever it comes to hardware. I find the rollouts to be much longer than people anticipate, right? With software, you can go so incredibly fast, and AI has benefited greatly because it's, being delivered by data centers. And, if you're a cloud provider of these, AI models, these LLMs, then hey, a bunch of people can get their hands on them day one. But at the time of the internet bubble, where personal computing and internet was coming out, it's much harder to deliver that to people whenever they didn't actually have the hardware available. So, whenever it comes to a ride hailing network where you're going to need a large set of actual vehicles, and for people to get rid of their existing vehicles, and for what happens to uh, the secondary markets for used cars during these first couple of years of whenever this happens, whenever people realize that getting rid of their cars is going to be uh, a real step forward, that there's going to be some real shock there, and there's going to take some time. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's even like whenever people go to sell their house and they start to see that the prices are coming down, and realtors are trying to ask them to renegotiate their sale price, that it usually takes them a few months, maybe even 6 months, to really realize that the market is not where they thought it was, and that they're going to have to correct their pricing. So, this idea that Kathy Wood believes that they're going to get a trillion new dollars uh, of top line growth, and already see the highest margins and everything like this in a matter of like launching FSD in 2026 and then seeing it by the end of 2029, is mind blowing in my opinion. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think that it's still going to be additive to their business, that margins will expand, and then that alone will be the catalyst to bring the stock up going forward, right? You're seeing that with Nvidia. People can envision the future. They can see that, um, you know, an expedited multiple for a company that might have a decade forward of being one of the greatest sellers of new technology. Um, that's deserved of a multiple. I think Kathy Wood could be right by 2034. I mean, hell yeah, dude. A lot can happen by 2024. It's an incredible amount of time, especially now, right? Like every decade that's come before it, the the amount of new innovations that's happened between then and now has accelerated. So I can't wait to see into the future how fast things are going to get. Like even into the 2030s, 2040s, 2050s, I'm hopefully still going to be here. What are the new technologies by then? Just makes my head spin. But so I'm just I ended up buying a lot more Tesla. That's sort of the moral of the story. And we're going to take a bet that FSD is going live. Maybe not in a few years, um, but that uh, AI is going to make a lot of this possible. And they're not going to be the only player. They're not going to have 100% market share or anything like this. But even a small step forward turns what people will still call a auto company into more of a SaaS-like business, and getting monthly subscription pricing and a take on the amount of people that are actually getting ride hailing in. And we didn't even talk about their energy business. I mean, just going forward, this, like, we are going to need so much more capacity for energy, and Tesla is going to continue to deploy storage for their energy services, as well as solar maybe. So um, people don't want to look at that right now. They don't want to price it in because interest rates are really high and they're not getting a ton of business right now. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's not going to be the future still going forward whenever it's much cheaper. What is this Tesla company? It's a SoFi competitor, just a little bit different. It's another digital bank. I'm just kidding. ETF. Everyone in this chat better know what Tesla is, or you're banned. I don't know. Do I have an allocation percent goal roughly? I mean, I do in my head, not one that I'm going to share, but yeah. um, honestly, maybe if he takes it to $10 trillion, yes, pay him. But I'm not sure if you take it to 2 trillion, should he deserve 50 more billion for that? Okay. I mean, the numbers start to get ridiculous, don't they? Like, you 4x the business, you add on $1.5 trillion of new market value to the company, and 50 billion seems insane because it's $50 billion. But as a percent base of the company, I've seen larger pay packages than that. I mean, come on. Um, but what do you guys think about Tesla? Do you think that we should continue on this streak of breaking down uh, fun little companies? I mean, I'm just sort of putting the toes in on Tesla as I mean, for the most part, most people know Tesla, so it's not like I have to reintroduce the business. I don't have to talk about their different business models, but I do like Elon will be the first trillionaire. Hey, I mean, I do think so. I think that the craziest thing about the stock right now, and this is going into your question or this statement here, but um, I think he has such lofty goals, and really, there's a large percentage of the market that's pricing in none of it, and then there's a small subset of people that are pricing in all of it. Okay, and you get this weird divergence of like people who are saying, this is a pretty overpriced car company. The P is pretty high, stuff like this. And then you have other people who are saying, okay, this will be a $30 trillion company, and not a dollar of mine should go into anything other than buying Tesla stock because it's the future. I get their point, but also try to um, I was listening to a podcast recently where they were talking about like how Optimus is going to benefit off of the sales to uh like other space companies because they're going to use Optimus for space travel and stuff like this. I was like, man, you're in the future. Or having hundreds of thousands of robots per person. Um, it's like, let's start with one for now. There's no problems with trying to uh envision that future when you're closer. Let's try to envision the closer one, like the the more reasonable story right now, which is probably Optimus within other businesses and helping out logistics companies and stuff like this. Being on factory lines, doing multiple jobs where you don't need to make specialized tools for a very small subset of a job where you can just have Optimus do that and then you know change it to do a separate job. I think that that's probably its first use case is just commercial, and I think it'll be a very long time before you see them in people's houses. Battery and solar is underrated, should be worldwide and government funded. Excited when they make more factories and license FSD to everyone as bots come into play and then learning and compute is rising. It's a very exciting world for Tesla. Also very exciting is licensing FSD. Now, see, the other thing is that they won't be the only player. People are really like they're not giving Nvidia enough credit that there will be multiple players, like for both bots and for the self-driving. Tanner, tell ETF to behave himself. I have no control over ETF. He does his own thing. He gets to ban who he wants to ban. I don't get a say. Um, ooh, Wes. Tesla always does opposite from what people expect. I think 8.8 showcase will drop the price to a better buying range. So you don't think that 8.8 will be a good show? You don't think they're going to show off either the app or the Model 2 and say like some people, some very bullish people think that they're going to be releasing a vehicle that day or starting the app that day. That is not going to happen. But I do think that they'll showcase things for a near future. And when I say near future, I probably mean like 2 years, 18 months, maybe something like that. But I don't necessarily think that the price will drop that drastically on that day. I don't know. I'd be very surprised if everyone in the market is that optimistic about what's going to happen that day. I'm not sure how much more we get than the robotaxi model on 8.8. Well, showcasing the model. I don't think we'll get the model. That's definitely not going to happen. The Cybertruck was showcased and then it came out like 5 years later. Might rally to 200 until 8.8 and then sell off to 180 after. So you'll both kind of be right. Tanner Cybertruck review. I haven't even seen one in real life yet. I haven't even seen one. Hopefully I do. I mean, that'll be a pretty exciting time. And even like what I really like about Tesla is there's so many factors to this business that are not even being priced in that I still think are absolutely amazing. Like the Tesla semi truck. Stuff like the Model Y refresh and stuff, I really don't put a lot of like focus into. I couldn't care. It's a car company. They're going to continue to deliver vehicles. I'm more worried about like the bigger picture stuff and whether they like. I like the idea of new vehicles that end up sort of opening up a new market. So the truck opened up a new market. The Model 3 opened up a new market. The Model Y opened up a new market. Cybertruck, semi. What else did I say? If they do sort of that cyber cab, then that'll open up a brand new market as well. Model 2 will open up a new market. The refreshes within the longer battery ranges, the performance models, the really, really technical stuff, I could not care less about. It's stuff that they have to do, obviously. Like you have to be really focused from a company perspective, but I don't need to be as an investor. I have full faith that they make the best products in the market. I don't think that there's a better product in the world than the Model 3. Need a Sprinter? I think they'll have a Sprinter. The StockX very irrational compared to the company. Every stock does. Every single stock does that. Henry, I think what he's trying to say is Tesla is why I'm so confident that I'm going to be wealthy in 10 to 15 years. Hey, if like legitimately, you only need one innovative company to completely change your net worth. If it's a truly innovative company. And I think that the reason why Tesla has such a large PE ratio is that Elon Musk has always focused and delivered on putting out innovative products. You see that in SpaceX. You see that in, Tesla, Neuralink, Boring Company. He just does different shit. He is the most exceptional operator of all time. I used to talk about him all the time, like at family reunions and stuff. Like people would laugh at me because I bought books about him, which you can see in the back. I got a couple. But I used to call him like a superhero. Like I used to say, oh, he's the modern Iron Man, which was like now it's so normal to say that. But like back in like 2018, that was not normal. And everyone thought that he was a hack, I guess. Not everyone. I shouldn't say that, but I have a specific family member in mind that used to try to tear me apart about it. And I used to say, like, if he hits his highest pay package, he'll be the richest man on earth. And no one believed it. And then it ended up happening. So to my aunt that said that, you know who you are. I was right, you were wrong. You know what's funny too? I have another deal that I made 5 years ago, uh, that they thought that Tesla would be a bankrupt company and that they were all fraudulent and everything like this. That's supposed to happen on 2025. I'm not going to see a dollar, obviously, because they're not going to end up paying. Um, that Tesla wouldn't be around in 5 years. Easiest money ever in 2020. 100% return, zero risk. No, I mean not zero risk, but I mean, like, come on, dude. Some people, I never understood the fascination with, like, ice vehicles at all. Like, people would just be like, "Oh, like, look how much uh you know worse my car is. It's loud, it's slower, and it's more to maintain." Uh why would I ever want an EV? Why would I ever want a vehicle that I can add essentially gasoline, but it's not gas, while it's sitting in my garage? Why the heck would I want that? Oh, I like the way my car rumbles whenever I turn it on. Dude, sit on a washing machine. Like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit? I want a car that's cool that gets me from one side to another. And Teslas are cool, man. If you buy a car and it just, like, doesn't have great software, there's no fixing that at all. Like, so, uh I don't know. I can't believe that it took Elon Musk to create a company or a car that's, like, going to connect to Wi-Fi and actually have an update and get better over time. Like, we had smartphones in our pockets, and then we're like, I guess this Honda is just going to stay shitty. And I think that the person that brings that level of innovation, as silly as it is, um, will win, and the incumbents are not catching up. BYD is the competition now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, uh, I got the SoFi Weekly in an hour, so I'll see you guys all there. But that that's my time. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. But bye for now.